We're live.
Hello, AJB, parents, students, guardians. Thank you for coming tonight to our virtual town hall meeting, our title meeting. We're having a title meeting on Title I and Title III. But before I get into anything, any information, let me just give you a big shout out of thank you and gratitude for everything that you've done to be patient with us so that we can bring your kids back to school safely. We are looking forward to coming back to school here soon in the near future. I need you to know that. And as a result of your patience, it's given us the opportunity to make sure that we bring your kids back in the most safest, effective way possible for our teachers, for our interventionists, but most importantly for your children. So thank you for your utmost patience. Tonight, we're going to discuss our Title I and Title III allocations. Basically, when a child is in need, or if we have needs around learning or language, we receive funding from the federal government. And every year, we want to make sure that we inform you, our stakeholders, the people that we serve, about the money that we get and how we allocate that and make sure that those needs are being met by our students. So without further ado, welcome to our Title I and Title III meeting. One caveat before we begin. We need you because we want feedback. So if you could open up your chat box now, open up your chat box and type in your first and last name, we would greatly appreciate it. We need those signatures or that sign-in to show evidence that you attended, because we may be calling on you for further opportunities to help support how we spend those funds. So again, just help us out. Open up the chat box. We're looking for names. I've got Adrian Mickens here. He's an awesome person. If you ever need something done with technology, Soul Hits Entertainment, give him a shout out, give him a call. We have his card. Just check out his app and he has all of his information on there. So again, open up your chat box and please put in your first and last name. Do we have any people putting in there yet, Adrian?
I can pull up. I don't have the form open. 1 second.
Well, while we do that, we're going to get going while you check that ID, because I want to hold up the process. So what does Title I school mean? May I, Ms. Perry? Thank you so kindly. Being a Title I school means receiving federal funding. Those are called Title I dollars. It supplements existing programs. These dollars are used for identifying students that are in need, they're experiencing difficulties, and they also help us provide and purchase programs like our Achieve 3000 and other intervention tools that Dean Cummings will be talking about later. We also use it to conduct parent involvement meetings and activities and training exercises. And we also use those funds to help recruit and hire people like your interventionists and your family student liaisons like Ms. Candace Jackson and Mr. Jose Uribe. So it's very important that we utilize these dollars in a way where you feel it's helping your child. Being a Title I school also means parent involvement and parent rights. So what does that mean? Of all the dollars we get, we have to set aside at least 1% of Title I allocation. So when we get this abundant amount of money, we have to put 1% aside just for you parents, and we use that for parent involvement meetings that we have throughout the school year. So last year, if you came to some of those parent involvement events, which I'm sure that you did, you got to experience and learn how those dollars are utilized and what good they do in terms of how they impact data. You as Title I parents, we want you involved. We need you involved. So the use of funds for Title I, here's what it looks like. Title I-A requires utilization of the 1% to funds to promote parental involvement needs, like I just discussed. We are required to use 1% of those funds for parental involvement as well. We use those to purchase materials. The funds are used for various educational activities. And we also are able to purchase materials for our parents to use at home as well. For example, those title funds, you'll see a lot of similarities with Title III. They kind of do the same thing, but Title III, you'll learn, is for our kids that speak, that have language issues. It's not only Spanish, it could be French, it could be any other language that deems them to be a student with EL needs. We also use this money for tutoring after school for remediation purposes. So we have those tutoring programs and we invite your sons and daughters to come to our school. That's why it's important for you to come, because we're paying a great deal of money for the service so that we use those funds to impact and close that achievement gap. So if we offer it and no one shows up, that's not good. We need you to show up and utilize those funds, because those funds are to make a difference in the gap that we have to close for your sons and daughters. And with all of this COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately, we are concerned that that gap of learning has gotten wider and wider. So when we get back to school here pretty soon, we're going to be utilizing and exercising tutoring programs to help shrink that gap again as soon as possible. So please take advantage of all these learning opportunities after school. Use of Title I funds for instruction. We use them for computer laptops. I need you to know that the computers that we bought last year with Title, though, because NHA cares, they have decided to own that expense. So that frees up those dollars that we spent on computers on other technology needs or other needs that we might have as a school. So thank you, NHA, for taking on that ownership so that we become one-to-one. That is awesome. We want to make sure that every student has a Chromebook that attends Andrew J. Brown Academy, which is new. We can also use it for printers. We can utilize it for those intervention tools that I mentioned, Achieve 3000, USA Test Prep, ERLA, and those instructional resources and remediation. Again, a lot of these things are redundant, but I want to make sure that I emphasize the purpose and the why behind these dollars, so I make sure that the parents really understand what these dollars are utilized for. In terms of the professional development, the other day we had a PD day, and sometimes those PD days and the trainings that we get, title funds are used for some of those trainings. Our family student liaisons, could you imagine what it would be like if we didn't have Mr. Yu or Miss Candace Jackson here at the school? Oh my goodness, they do so much for us at the school to support families. And right now they're even involved. Right now, Miss Jackson is monitoring the questions that you put in the chat box. If you have any questions about anything that I'm saying, please put them in the chat box, as well as your first name and your last name. Please continue to do that. Put in your first name, your last name, and put in any questions you might have. And thank you, Candace, for helping me monitor the questions. In terms of the 2021 school year, I'm going to transition and have Dean Cummings take over a little bit, but I'm going to segue by just saying the school year will use the Title I parental involvement budget, and she's going to talk about the survey and how we use the feedback, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, I'm going to give it over to our intervention dean, Dean Cummings.
Hi, I'm Dean Cummings, and like you said, I'm the Dean of Intervention. So I want to talk about this school year for 2021. This school year, we're going to use the Title I parental involvement budget. The spring survey feedback that we received from parents last year, they requested to spend the money as follows. They wanted translation for Title I parent notices, parent room and family resource center supplies, printing and communications, reading, ELA, math, science, and social studies resources. So we're going to make sure we use the funds for that. Title I budget suggestions, we need your input. So again, in the chat box, you can put what you feel your scholars need to use those Title I budgets for. We also have a survey that we want you guys to fill out. We're going to put that link on Facebook as well as the app. So make sure that you go there and fill out that survey as well. Andrew J. Brown Academy school-wide program over the past several years, AJB has been deemed a school-wide Title I school. Whether a school is considered Title I school or target assistance is based upon the percentage of students who receive free and reduced lunch. So it's very important that you guys fill out that form for your free and reduced lunches.
And what I want to just add, just because there's a misnomer and a stereotype, and I want everyone to understand that having free or reduced lunch or being a title school is not a bad thing. It's not an indictment of where you are or what's going on. It helps our children get to where they need to be to help make up for the gap of what we're dealing with in society. So don't deem it as a negative thing. It's really important to fill out those free and reduced lunch forms. We still have 10% to go. I want to give a shout out to my registrar, Miss Beata Jones, and also Miss Shepard for collecting those forms. It's absolutely imperative, because the more that we get to show that need, the more dollars we receive to help your children. So it's not an indictment. It is something that helps aid our kids to help them close that gap. And you know what? We're doing that. And so we will continue to do that with your support. Go ahead, Dean Cummings.
Thank you. This year, AJB has received CARES Act funding to help with scholars' needs from academic and safety needs. So what is our school-wide goal? The mission of Andrew J. Brown is to be accountable to all stakeholders for providing a globally competitive education that empowers students to achieve academic and personal goals and to become college and career ready, productive, responsible citizens. So now we're going to look at some of that data. So for 2019-21 Achieve 3000 data. So first, what is Achieve 3000? Achieve 3000 is an intervention program. It's for reading. It has articles, and it is based on your students' level. So they take a test, an assessment that gives them their Lexile, and then everything they do on Achieve 3000 is at their Lexile level in order to help them grow. So there's several activities. It also has a lot of components to help with EL bilingual students, as well as resources that help with accommodations for those students as well. So you can see here, third grade grew 109 Lexile levels. Now this was just up until March. So just imagine if we grew this much, how much we could grow, with the rest of the year. So as you can see, all of our grades grew. Fourth grade, 103 Lexile levels. Fifth grade, 84. Sixth grade, 83. Seventh grade, 64. And eighth grade, 74 levels. So we all grew in just that short amount of time.
And this is something that we're very proud of the teachers, and a big shout out to our teachers and interventionists. That growth, along with the tools in their tool belt, I want to make sure that everyone understands it's not just the intervention tools that make the difference. It's the staff that utilizes these intervention tools in the right way that makes the difference. And so it is important for the parents to also talk to your kids about the intervention tools they use. I'm sure that many of you have talked about utilizing Achieve 3000 with your students. They come, I'm going to get on Achieve. And you probably say to them, hey, what's Achieve? And they show you, have them show you what they're doing. Be a part of the process, because those numbers that you're seeing, those numbers will go up drastically even higher if you're involved. Studies have shown the more parents that are involved, the more likely your students, your children will improve. We're only part of this three-legged stool. Parents, that leg that you represent is ginormous. So the more you ask and are involved, and the more you understand what those tools are, the more we're going to get that growth even higher. The greater the growth, the more we close that gap.
Thank you. So the 2019-2020 school-wide NWEA data. NWEA is a test assessment that we take 3 times a year. So if you probably heard your students talking about taking this assessment at the beginning of this year. So this is to measure growth. So it's really important that the students take this and take it serious so that we know where they're at, so we know how to help them grow. So if you look at this data, the triangles, that is grade level norms, percentage-wise, for projected growth nationwide. And then the blue is what we actually grew. So as you can see, again, this was just until winter, so December. We exceeded In a lot of grades, we exceeded the grade level norms projected, and we were very, very close in a lot of the others.
But we also want to call out to the can you go back to this slide, please? Thank you. I also want to not talk about everything that's rosy. I also want to talk about the things that we need to improve because we really look at this data. For example, if you look at fourth grade, they didn't quite meet their benchmark. If you look at seventh grade for language arts, well below. But here's what I want you to understand. We take all. Dr. Brown, Mr. Green, Mr. Haley, these people are all on my board. We don't differentiate in terms of who we take. We take them all. So you hear things like, well, they can get into AJB. You know what? They can. Because when people are saying no, you can't, we're saying yes, you can. And so we want you to understand that when we get these kids, they're that far behind that we have to work really, really hard. So why am I telling you this? Because the sooner you intervene and become part of the process, the more you help us so we can help your children, the greater we can close that gap. And the reason why I'm so adamant today and just so spirited is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I am truly concerned about that gap that gap has widened. Even though with all our efforts with e-learning, we all know that e-learning and virtual learning is rough. We know you got a job. We know that you got your kids at home. We know the things that you're going through. And the sooner we can get our kids back, the better. But until then, we got to do the best we can with what we've got, and we need your help so that gap doesn't get bigger. Help us close it before they come back. You can see the data. We already had some issues that we need to work on too. Everything's not a bed of roses. But we know that if we have your support, we can close that gap quicker, even during a pandemic. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was actually a perfect segue into the resource student data. Our resource students are our students with individual education plans, whether that's academic, social, or emotional plans. And as you can see, our resource student data grew at sometimes equal and then sometimes more than the general education students. And these are students that have been identified with learning disabilities or social or emotional disabilities. So yes, we do accept every student and we try to help every student grow despite their individual differences. And we try to close that achievement gap as much as possible.
And for those that don't know, this is the wonderful Cassandra Davis. She's Dean of the resource team, and she's also the Dean of 5, 6, 7, 8 this year. And so if you have any more questions around any kids that have needs, please reach out to her as well. I just wanted to introduce you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In addition to those academic needs and that data, we have some students with some discipline issues, and we have been identified as a school that had a disproportionality in the number of African-American males that was suspended. So we put a plan in place to address those needs and make sure that our teachers, our staff, and our students know how important it is to make sure that our students with disabilities, our African-American students, our different subgroups of students receive the services that they need, not only academically, but as far as behavior goes too. So we've put a plan in place where we want to reduce the student referral rate by 10%. Some of the things that we're going to do to reduce that student referral rate is to screen students in advance. Our Tier 2 students that may need some additional support and put some interventions in place to keep them from being suspended or referred to the principal's office. We have a team in our school that we're going to call the disproportionality or the DisPro team, that their main target is to make sure that we put interventions in place and that we support those students in advance to keep them from being written up, or if they are written up, to make sure that we give them support so that that doesn't happen again. Teachers will be provided with training, as well as our DisPro team, as well as the administrators and other staff members that may be involved with those students. The
parent family engagement policy. everything you've heard thus far leads us into what is your role and what are the policies and procedures around federal and local guidelines. And so with that being said, Title I funds must be developed jointly and agreed upon with you, our stakeholders, the parents. And so when we ask for invites and no one shows for meetings, that's a problem. So we need to work on that. We need to have people come when they're invited. We have a parent advisory council. For those folks that have been invited to that before or wanted to volunteer, my school board loves your opinions. They love to hear how you feel about our school improvement plan process. They want to know what the needs are of our students. Now, I want to be blunt. I hear a lot from my Spanish-speaking parents. Hey, I need to hear more from my African-American parents. I don't hear the volume or the chatter as much. I need all. And I need Caucasian parents involved. I need everybody involved. It's supposed to be an Epcot model where everyone matters. Like I said, we take all and we need all. So please get involved so that we make sure that we meet federal and local guidelines. From the local standpoint, the parent involvement policy establishes the backbone of support and requires steps necessary to build capacity for parent involvement. So that's why when they take that set-aside amount of money that we have, that 1% of the total whole, we create activities. And at AJB, we've done a lot of things to get you guys in the door, and your support has been phenomenal. And we love to do these things because it makes us that family that we always refer to. And that's why I think we're sticking together through this pandemic. So please, make sure that when you participate, it helps us meet these federal and local guidelines. What are your parents' rights and what are the needs to know? Well, as a Title I school, we must meet federal regulations related to teacher qualifications. These regulations allow you to learn more about your child's training, their background. For example, if I didn't have a degree or I didn't have my principal licensure, I couldn't be your principal. I need to make sure that I am professionally qualified. Now, our goal is to make sure that every teacher that we can possibly find is that. If we don't do that, we have to send home some type of letter informing you that that person that's in front of you or in front of your children may not have that professional qualification. Now, as you all know, there's teaching shortages, but I can tell you, even though that we try very hard not to do that, we also need you to understand that if we do have somebody in front of you, they have some type of background in that specific area. We make sure we go through the right process with our NHA colleagues at the service center, and we also notify you as such on our why about a teacher that might be teaching your children, just so you know. Whether a teacher received an emergency or conditional certificate, through what state qualifications were waived, and what undergraduate or graduate degree a teacher holds, including graduate certificates and additional degrees, or majors in that specific concentration. So whatever the needs are, whatever we have to do to help a teacher that we feel will be effective in front of your children, we're going to try to make that happen if we feel like they're good people for your scholars. I will say this as I move on. My grandfather had a 5th grade education. And you know what? He was the best teacher I ever had. So sometimes the script that we have experienced doesn't necessarily or always dictate what a parent or someone can teach you. So we try to look at everything, and we try to encourage those people that don't have the degrees necessary at the moment to go back to school, participate in a state program to get licensure so that we can make them professionally qualified. So if you know someone, this is my pitch, that you feel might be a great teacher or has a teaching credential, please send them our way because we're looking for substitutes. We need more, and who better to ask than the people that we serve those students. As we continue, Common Core curriculum, I'm going to have Dean Cummings, can you take this from here?
Sure. Okay, so our college and career readiness state standards, preparation, the standards are college and career ready. Competition, standards are internationally benchmarked to ensure students are globally competitive. Equity, expectations are consistent for all and not dependent on a student's zip code. Clarity, students are focused, coherent, and clear. Standards are focused, coherent, and clear. Collaboration, standards create a foundation to work collaboratively across states and other schools. We move on to assessments and expectations. So NWEA, we kind of talked about, it's 3 times a year. We do it at the beginning, we just finished, or we're finishing up right now. We take it again in the winter and then again in the spring. And again, this shows our growth throughout the year. Interims, those are also taken 3 times a year. And this is our way to see and maybe foreshadow how our students are going to perform on state assessments. These are very, very closely aligned to the state assessment. Achieve 3000 we talked about it's a great intervention tool for reading. It has a lot of accommodations for our bilingual students and our resource students as well. And it meets our students where they're at. Diagnostic assessments, those are things like iReady, ERLA. So again, we take those assessments to see where your students are so that we can meet your students where they're at and help them grow. Weekly common assessments, those are given each week to make sure that the standard that we just taught was mastered. And then we have that strong core curriculum that we talked about.
It's very important to have multiple modalities. And what that means is if we don't use multiple assessments, sometimes on any given day, your sons and daughters might have a bad day. So if we give these multiple assessments, these multiple modalities, we can look at data that encompasses everything to determine whether or not is this something that really is something a child needs, or more importantly, was it just a thinking process or a critical thinking question that maybe eluded a particular child that they need help on. So when we utilize this data, all these forms, and we get that information back, it really helps us ascertain exactly with a laser-like focus what your sons and daughters need. We individualize the instruction to the best of our ability to make sure that each child grows at Andrew J. Brown Academy.
Okay, so what is parent and family engagement policy? This plan addresses how the students will implement the parental involvement requirements from the ESSA components, including the school-wide expectations for parents, how the school will involve parents in decision-making, how the school will work to build the school and parents' capacity for strong parental involvement and to improve student academic achievement, how parents can be involved in decision-making activities, how parents involve funds, how the funds are being used, how information and training will be provided to parents, and how the school will build capacity in parents and staff for strong parental involvement. You, as Title I parents, have the right to be involved in the development of your school's parental involvement policy. So again, that's really important that you guys go and fill out that survey. Again, the link's going to be on the app as well as Facebook. Sample parent and family engagement policy?
You can go ahead for that one.
Want me to do that?
You can go to, we already covered that. You can go
Okay.
on to what is school improvement plan.
Okay, so what is the school improvement plan? The SIP is a living document that outlines a commitment from the school, the parent, and the student to share the responsibility for improved academic achievement. It is school specific and based upon student achievement data. You, Title I parents, have the right to be involved in the development of the school parent plan. So we are currently working on this. So the information that we get in the last year's survey, as well as this year's survey, is taken into consideration when we make that plan. Overview of parent and family engagement. The term parental involvement means the participation of parents in regular, two-way, and meaningful communication involving students' academic learning and other activities, including and ensuring that parents play intricate role in assisting their child's learning. Parents are encouraged to be actively involved in their child's education at school. Parents are full partners in their child's education and are included when appropriate in decision-making, as well as part of the advisory committee to assist in their child's education.
I'm going to reiterate this, parents. We really need you involved more than ever. It's absolutely crucial that you are involved more than ever. We cannot allow our scholars to continue to go on within a system that they are deficient. We need to make them proficient. Our kids can do anything they put their minds to. I've seen it. I've seen the growth. I've seen it. And we can't do it without you. So the more that you understand what your sons and daughters are doing on a daily basis, the more you help us. I'm going to keep reiterating that because me as the principal and instructional leader of the school, I am highly concerned about the divide. And I need you involved to make sure that when we all work together as one, that divide does not get larger. I have the belief and the hope that with us just doing what we're doing together, that we can make sure that we're actually closing that gap, because I know some of the conversations I've had with parents that you do care, that you want to be involved, but you don't know what you don't know. So that's why we want to have this meeting with you and invite you to things so you can understand how everything works, from grading system practices to what those assessments look like, to what those intervention tools are. The more you seek to understand, the more you can be understood, and we can understand you as well. So please, please, please get involved and ask your sons and daughters about everything they're doing on a daily basis. Please.
Okay, so just like Principal Hill said, why parent and family engagement? We really, really want you engaged. Engagement is our goal, not just involved, but engaged. We want to gain you as our partners for success for your students. The establishment of the right kinds of school-family connection is important at AJB. So if you haven't already, please make that commitment tonight to become involved and be committed, and to really be engaged and involved with us. So again, that survey is really important. Volunteering for things at the school and being engaged is really, really important.
So the last bullet point talks about if you haven't already done so, make that commitment tonight and become our partners. What I'm going to do right now, I realize with my team one, that trust is essential. I repeat, trust is essential to move this building forward. Can you turn the camera on to Dean Spivey, please? She's laughing because I'm getting her involved. Dean Spivey has earned what I haven't earned yet, and I've been here 7 years. I feel I've done a good job, but you know what? Dean Spivey has earned the trust of our families. She is a bridge for me. So if I need to get backdrop or understanding about a situation or a family, she knows our children, and she's earned that trust because you all trust her. And so I really, really want you guys to understand that we know it takes time to build those trusting relationships. So why am I saying this? Dean Cummings wants to build those trusting relationships with you, but it has to be two-way communication. So she hasn't been here as long. Dean Davis is a Indianapolis individual who has years of experience in IPS, other charter school systems, and she knows everybody. So you probably already know Dean Davis, but she wants to build trusting relationships with you as well. Dean Perry, if you haven't heard from Dean Perry, I'll be surprised if you haven't heard from her, okay? Because she truly, truly does not play around when it comes to your sons and daughters' education. And you know what? She has a huge heart, huge. And sometimes when her expectations are high and she pushes, it may seem like she's pulling, but she's not trying to pull kids apart. She's trying to push them in the right direction with tough love. Think about what you do as a parent when it comes to discipline, to do the right thing and have your kids clean their room. That's what Dean Perry does with education. So we all have our own strengths and we all have weaknesses. I know I have mine. I am not a perfect principal, but I know I'm passionate and I have a big heart. And at the same time, I know it takes these people around me to help make me successful. Well, guess what? We need you as partners to help make us all successful too. So I just want you to know I recognize that, we recognize that, and we're trying really hard to build those trust and relationships as well. As we continue, here's how you contact our staff. You can call the school at 317-891-0730. Many of you, if you need to get a hold of me or if you need to get a hold of somebody, the way it works, just so you know, so I don't want you to get frustrated, you need to contact the front office. They'll route your call to the appropriate dean first. If the dean can't handle that situation with the teacher, then it's brought to my attention. So please, please, please don't get frustrated. This is just our process. The school design model within NHA utilizes the dean. Deans are, in essence, assistant principals to help resolve because they're closer to the situation. And usually, once they gather the information, they bring me on board if need be. If you have an issue with one of your deans, by all means, please reach out to me, the principal. Email your child's teachers or other staff members. You can check out the AJB app created by, again, Mr. Adrian Mickens. Go to that AJB app. You can see all the teachers' names. You can email them directly from there, and you can see what assignments are due. You can check out the homeworks they do. So again, go to your Play Store or your Google Play Store or go to your Apple Store and download the AJB app. Also, view the school's website and Facebook page. Facebook's been phenomenal. Ms. Jackson's been handling that. All our stuff is on there. We're really proud of our Facebook page. You guys utilize it. So please look for information there. However, don't post negative stuff on the Facebook page because everyone can see it. All right. And it's not that we don't want to hear from you, but just if you could contact us directly instead of posting negative things. We don't want to feed negativity in today's society because I know that sometimes you just vent because I get mad too. But I can't just put all my feelings and frustrations for the world to see because it might have adverse consequences that we didn't intend to do. Sometimes our intent leads to a different desired impact. We know you want to be heard, but I think the best way to solve problems is directly. So please, please, please utilize the Facebook, but know that lots of people are looking at that thing. We don't want to air your business and worry about any data privacy or anything of that nature. Now we're going to get into our Title III meeting. And before we do that, you want to wrap us up for question and survey before we go to Title III?
Yes, so guys, just a reminder that the survey will be available to you. It will be on our Facebook page and your teachers' pages on the AJB app, as well as our website. Our survey will be on those places. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box now about the Title I part, and we will move right into our Title III meeting. If you have any questions about Title I, please be sure to put it in the chat box. And please look on our Facebook page, our app, or our website for that survey.
Again, the survey is part of that parent commitment to one another. We don't know what you're thinking or feeling unless you complete it. So please complete the survey. It helps us out tremendously and helps us meet those federal and local expectations, those guidelines. Thanks, Dean Davis. So now we're going to give it up to Dean Perry, who is our EL coordinator, along with our, she's actually serving as a dean on special assignment as our virtual principal. And she's been doing a great job trying to handle problems. It's been a huge undertaking for her, but she still finds the time to also make sure that our EL needs are met as well. Dean Perry?
All right, so I am here tonight to update you on the status of Title III. So Title III is for our students who are English language learners. So that means that English is not their first language. It's actually their second language. And so all of the things that are around Title III are meant to support our English language learners. And so this year, we're pleased to announce we have 286 EL learners, okay? And so this year, we have 38 in kindergarten, we have 34 ELs in first grade, 41 in second grade, 33 in third grade, 41 in fourth grade, 23 in fifth grade, 17 in sixth grade, 37 in seventh grade, and 25 in eighth grade. So basically what that means and why that's important for you to know as a parent is that is where those numbers indicate where most of our support will be needed. And so this year we have 3 EL teachers, but we're actively searching for one more, as well as an NESP para to support your scholars needs and those that are receiving Title III services. So this year we have 286 students. So like if you're watching out for your scholars teacher for Title III, make sure that they're accepting their Google Classroom. That's very important this year. They're going to be receiving a lot of instruction through there, especially while we're virtual and remote. So you guys really need to make sure that you engage your EL teachers when they come. So next is our WIDA level. So WIDA is an assessment that is meant to designed to assess your students' language development over time. And so this year, with our WIDA level breakdowns, what we've done is we've actually put in different supports, which I'll get into on the next slide. So basically, the way that those WIDA levels break down, you guys can kind of see it on the slide, but we're increasing over time, which is good. And so we have a lot of work to do, especially in the areas of writing for WIDA. And when it comes to making sure that your scholars are not shy when it comes to the speaking portion. So historically in WIDA, we've struggled with the writing portion because our scholars have trouble with the vocabulary that they need to be able to write at that high level for WIDA. So those are things that your EL teachers are going to be focused on when they push into those classrooms to support your scholars. In addition, this year, we're really gonna call parents. I need your help with this. We really need help with your middle school scholars with the speaking portion. So they are equipped to test out, but the problem is they're not testing out because they're very shy when it comes to WIDA. So when WIDA comes up, I need you guys to make sure that you push your middle school scholars to speak when they're on the computer so that we can make sure that we move them out of that category because they're getting stuck in that portion because they're shy. They don't want to speak on camera. They think they're too cool for school. So make sure that when we get to WIDA, that your scholars are engaged in that process. So this year, because of our WIDA scores, we have actually updated our plan. So for our scholars that are identified at all levels, so all levels will be getting full services this year. And what we mean by that is all scholars will be getting services from Title III teachers. And so in past years, the way the model has worked is if your student was a 4 or higher, then they might only receive services from their general education teachers. So what we found is that we want to make sure that our scholars continue to receive support over time. So that means even our level 5s or our students that test out, they will continue to get monitoring support this year. And so that is a huge change for us and one that we're very, very, very excited about. So in this service plan, you guys could, your students would be receiving co-teaching, they could be getting small group intervention, pull-out services, which is what they'll be getting in their Google Classrooms. So we'll use a varied amount of models to make sure that your English language learners are well supported. In addition, our students that are levels 4 will be getting that extra 30 to 45 minutes that they did not receive last year, just because they were getting that under the SciOp model. But because we are virtual and remote, and because we understand everything that came along with the pandemic, we wanted to be able to offer your scholars more. And so with that said, like your scholars that are at higher levels for WIDA will also be receiving extra support under this new model. Okay.
Real quick too, I just wanted to say that when you have a plan that Dean Perry is describing to you, along with very passionate teachers, those teachers, I'm going to name them because this EL team led by Dean Perry is exceptional. Mr. Thompson, Miss Luna, Miss Escato, and I also don't want to forget about Miss Minninger. And, you know, she helps out. She's actually serving in a different capacity, but she still dibbles and dabbles and helps us with EL2 once in a while. So to that team, thank you. They put in tireless hours to help you with your sons and daughters, those kids with those language needs. So I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. And Dean Perry's done a great job with them, but I really appreciate those teachers. And again, when you have people that are passionate and give their all and want to help, and you have a plan that goes with that passion, good things happen.
And so when it comes to how we supported your Title III scholars, so last year, as you guys might have remembered from the Title III meeting last year, we devoted all of our efforts into opening week for English language learners. This year was a little bit different. So because we've had site visits over the past 2 years from SIOP professionals, because we had so many SIOP teachers certified last year under the model, we've decided that we're going to focus a lot more of our efforts on just making sure that we continue that education. So we're building upon the foundation that we laid last year. And so our ELL teachers and our general education teachers, we still have staff that are certified in co-teaching. We still have staff that are certified in SIOP that are present in the building. And then we also sent staff at the end of last year to conferences and whatnot to help them get some of these tools to be able to help your scholars. And then in addition, we work with NHA to make sure that our balanced literacy and our math initiatives also align to our SIOP initiatives. So what that means is that you might hear a new tool in grades 3 through 5 called Bridges, which if you're used to your students in K through 2 receiving Bridges, it's not that new to you. But what Bridges does and what Illustrative does is it has a lot of those core foundations that we actually use in SIOP. So hands-on activities for students, making sure that they have manipulatives, making sure that they understand academic vocabulary and terms. And so a lot of our initiatives that we use within NHA, even when it comes to like balanced literacy and our read alouds, and in middle school, you might have noticed that your teachers are now doing novel studies with the students. And so those are all things that are deeply grounded in SIOP and that we're really excited to be bringing to you through core instruction as well. And so we've also had differentiated training. So we'll be turning our pillar meetings into trainings for our teachers to make sure that they get very targeted supports to be able to help your scholars. We know that this model is a lot different than what our teachers are used to teaching in and what your scholars are used to learning in. So with that said, that requires a little more. So we're investing a great deal of time and resources just to make sure that we help your EL scholars. And then in addition, we're advocating for more personnel with bilingual education and training. So I know we come to you every year with this, but like Principal Hill said, we have really amazing EL staff. Mr. Uribe is great, and he's from this Title III team, like he's a part of that team. So we need to make sure that as we're seeking to find another teacher and that we're seeking an NESP para, that we have people within our building that are going to advocate for your scholars and that are going to be open to receiving the training that's necessary for moving your scholars forward.
So we want to talk about the survey. There's two. So in conclusion, we want to make sure that you guys, if you have ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, if you have questions, please make sure to put those in the chat box. Also, imperative, please do the survey. We need that information back to you as our partners. I just want to say we allocate an hour. We got about 5 minutes left, but but I'm sure that, all this information, you're trying to digest it all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a cultural mosaic at our school, and culture not just around multiple languages, multiple countries, multiple traditions and beliefs. It's the beauty of what makes us and gives us our essence of who we are. There are many schools that would have faltered with so many different backgrounds, so many different cultures, traditions. Our school has done a really good job of coming together cohesively, and that comes from the partnership of understanding, preaching cultural cohesion. And our school is undergoing right now, just so you know, with those title dollars, we are embarking on a cultural competence experience. It's very important to my board. It's very important to Dr. Brown, whose father's namesake is on this school, that we learn about others and really train ourselves to look at our own biases internally so that we can grow and be more understanding to the needs of the various things, the various kids that are represented by multiple countries. And so we'll be embarking on that. And that's part of the title dollars that we're utilizing that money for, to help our teachers grow and become more culturally aware. I want you to know that we are proud of AJB. We're proud of that diversity. And we're proud of the fact that you have stuck by our side. And we look forward to sticking by your side for years to come. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about the deans. It's not about the teachers. It's about your child. It's about your child. And so we want to make sure that we do all we can while we have them in our arms to make sure that they get everything they need to be successful in life. So with that, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of my wonderful Team 1, my Dean team, and to all the teachers and staff members, interventionists, ABSs. I don't want to forget anybody. Nurse Tori, shout out to you too. I don't want to forget about you. Lunch ladies, Mr. Al, everybody. Thank you so much. And let's stay healthy, stay safe. Remember, we'll be coming back to school here soon. You'll be getting notification about that, hopefully. Now, something could change, but we are planning. We're in talks right now to have kids come back in a hybrid manner. We'll talk more about that in our next live State of the School address that will be coming up here in the next week or two. So stay tuned and stay involved. Have a good night, everybody.